I had a little time this afternoon to come out to the woodyard, so I figured I would start cleaning up this little pile of maple over here that I had left. And I actually found two nice sized logs that I'm going to set aside and save for some mini firewood. And then I also found another example of, if you remember back a few weeks ago, I had a round that got stuck on the Wolf Ridge. And I found another example of why that happened. I'm going to show you and kind of explain on that round. You couldn't see it in the video, but there was a couple things working against me and the machine. So there is just a little shot of the carnage from the 500i. And I know some of you will say, well, that maple is just junk wood, but it was free, so it's the best wood, and it's my favorite wood. There is one of the nice smaller logs that I'm going to save for mini firewood, and there is another one right there. That one's really nice. So I still have that log, and then I might actually save part of that as well from that log back there, and then I have a little bit left over here. So there is the one round right there, and that is the one that's got that angled cut on the back there, and that's what was happening with the round that got stuck. The only problem was it was kind of on both sides. No, it was on one side, but the front side had a big knot. So I'm going to take this over to the splitter and I'm going to show you what I mean. Oh, geez, this thing's a little heavier than I thought. So anyway, I gotta put it in there like this. So that will show you what I am talking about. The issue sometimes that happens there we go, finally. So as this is sitting right here, it's got an angled cut like this. And when the push block hits this, it wants to make this go flat against that. So it ends up turning the round like this. And then the wedge is going into your wood also at an angle. So that was what was happening with that one round that got stuck, is the front side had a huge knot that I couldn't get through. The back side had this angle, so as it would push in, it would turn and it would end up going against the wedge, kind of like sideways. And that was all because of that back cut not being flush. So if you see that, I mean, obviously the best thing to do would be to, cut these nice and flush. But with this one, I'm going to be able to just spin this around and then use this back side and then just have that angled part go into the wedge, because then it doesn't matter. But on the round that I got stuck, I wasn't able to do that. So this one will split just fine, but that's what can happen when you have angled cuts. The push block will go into that and it will end up twisting your round, and then if it's twisting going into the wedge, you're going to have problems, regardless of how many tons you have pushing on the wood. The other thing is that something like soft maple here, I mean, having wood that's softer is not an advantage, because the wedge will just sink in and the wood will actually just absorb the force. Like with oak, when it hits, sometimes it just cracks and pops apart, and that's because it's not absorbing that force. So that was the other thing going against me. It was maple, it had a huge knot, and it had an angled cut that was forcing the wood into the wedge at an angle and like turning it into the wedge. So that is what was happening. This is a little bigger chunk than I thought it was. So while those angled cuts can be a problem, it's nowhere near the problem that I just discovered that I have. And this is a big one. Somewhere, sometime today, while I was cutting up this maple, this happened. I lost the cap. Yeah, that's not good. And now that it's getting dark, I'm probably not going to be able to look too much for it. I have no idea. I'm gonna have to probably check the footage to see if I can see where it may have came off. I have no idea where to even begin looking. Oh my goodness. This is not good. We'll see you tomorrow night on the Friday Night Live live stream.